Hello, my beautiful collective. Welcome to yet another installment of the Healing Podcast with uGogo Mphemba. So, a few disclaimers before we begin. I am a South African Nguni woman. So, throughout this podcast, I will delve into isiZulu. I will go into isiXhosa. Those are the two Nguni languages that I am most comfortable communicating in. All right. Also, this podcast is based on, but not limited to, African spirituality. So if you do not resonate with the African spirituality space, this podcast is not for you. I still recommend, though, that you tune in because there is a lot to learn throughout these episodes, the Healing Podcast with uGogo Mphemba. I've had a very rough 3 weeks, right? And today I said, listen, I am not in the mood for no kind of makeup. All right. So, makeup or not, the Healing Podcast must continue. So, let's get into it. Those of you who are into astrology, again, is challenged by it. Oh, Mercury retrograde because I've been having communication issues left, right, and center. Yonke equipment yami ayifuni nje ukusebenza kahle, from microphone to the camera here on my phone. Like, I'm seeing flames. But anywho, today we are looking at poverty in the African space. Okay, so uMakhulu wants us to understand poverty. She wants us to understand why the majority of impoverished people emhlabeni are African. Okay, and then she wants to bring us to the wisdom and the understanding of ukuthi, how do we move away from an impoverished state and actually align with the energy of abundance. Okay, so poverty is a belief. Okay, it is a belief that stems from a mindset. All right, that stems from a paradigm. Now, for something to become a belief, it has to stem from a mindset. Any mindset is brought about by what? It is brought about by some sort of doctrine. Okay, you have to work a human being into a belief system. Doctrine includes imibhalo and all kinds of texts, right, that they're going to recite, that you're going to make available to them, right? You bring it as though it is knowledge. And that is in an effort to adjust a mindset, a human being. Once mindset, a human being is adjusted, the human being is going to believe leyonto that you're presenting. Okay, that concept that you're bringing forth. Once again, a large group of these humans now adopt le mindset, right? That stems from doctrine yakho. It now moves from being a mindset and it becomes a paradigm. Okay, which means ukuthi indlela yokucabanga ke manje, right? It is the general consensus amongst the population, and therefore it becomes a belief. This is something that they believe in. Okay, and uzobona ke ama effects aleyo nto leyo. Okay, because as human beings, what we put our energy to manifests into our physical reality. All right, so if your mindset is impoverished, then you're going to manifest poverty. Right, now poverty is not just associated with the material aspect of life. It's not just associated with money and possessions. It's not just associated with the physical body. It is also associated with the emotional body, with the mental body, with the spiritual body. Okay, so you experience material poverty, you experience emotional poverty, mental poverty, and spiritual poverty as a human being. But more so, poverty is a consequence of a belief. Okay, because I started off by saying poverty is a belief. It is a consequence of a belief. Okay, why a consequence, Gogo? Because from this indoctrination, right, of the human mind to believe in a particular reality, the results of that belief are going to manifest, right, as either abundance or they're going to manifest as poverty. Poverty is lack, guys. Okay, poverty is just a fancy word for lack. All right. So, why is belief important? Belief is important, right? Because belief goes hand in hand with your heart's desires. You cannot desire something without belief in that particular thing. All right. So if I desire to have a particular life experience, let's say if I desire to marry, right? To live out my days here on earth in marriage, okay? In a happy, loving, fulfilling marriage, which means Guti Campus Kinserve car has to check out, right? Then that means Guti, I believe in marriage, right? I believe in the concept of marriage. So you cannot desire something that you do not believe in, okay? So ibalulekile belief when it comes to your heart's desires. All right. And so when you desire, angithi, you communicate, you act, create, and birth. Okay. So when you believe in something, right, your heart desires it, and then you get to the work, to the using your chakras, your energy centers, to communicate, to act, create, and birth. Okay. So ama belief systems too, it is very important for us to zoom in on them. Okay, ukuthi le nto le esiyibelievayo, is it bringing abundance into our lives, or are we impoverished? Which means ukuthi it's bringing nothing. There is lack. Okay, if there is lack, guys, that obviously means ukuthi life force is dwindling. You're not receiving an abundance of life force kuma energy centers akho. Okay, which brings us to the happiness coefficient. UMakhulu has a simple equation that can help you as a human being, right, to assess the state of your chakras. Okay, and she has called this the happiness coefficient. All right, why happiness? Because an abundance of life force energy brings high vibrational energies such as happiness, joy, fulfillment, okay, feeling elevated, right? So all these high vibrational emotions, feelings, experiences. So happiness is a high vibrational energy, all right? And it is a high vibrational energy that all human beings are in pursuit of. Everybody wants to be happy. Okay. And where people are not happy, we see all kinds of unsavory energies come through. Right. Ngobani? Ngoba the inner child is damaged. And these wounds keep bleeding onto the layers that they develop as they grow into these adults. Okay. As they undergo the process of decomposition and expansion, right? Growth and maturation. Up until we reach the separation phase where our physical body separates from our other spiritual bodies, right? So inner child ibalulekile ngoba ingane kumele ibe happy. If your happiness yomntwana is affected and nothing is done, right, to heal that infliction, that wound that was inflicted on umntwana, then we're going to see an adult that does not exhibit happiness. And the adult engekho happy, right? Kuba inkinga ke lapho, because they then engage in unsavory acts. And they exhibit unsavory behaviors to show ukuthi there is a wound that is there, that is infected. Okay? And then again, we say you have a damaged inner child. All right. So happiness is very important. And so uMakhulu gives us the happiness coefficient in order to assess our chakras. Okay. Ama chakras akho, they give and receive light as a human being. And as you give and receive, right, this light energy, le exchange, lena, it can dull down your auras by you receiving low vibrational energies, by your macabre being affected by low vibrational macabres. Okay? And when your energy centers are not radiating this light properly, right? Think of a glass. A glass can either be transparent, can be translucent, or it can be completely it's transparent, translucent, and opaque. Okay, so those are your energy centers, right? Ideally, you want your energy centers to be transparent so that they let in the most light, so that they give and receive the most light. When now you're giving and receiving this light, interacting with other people, and you're receiving all kinds of low vibrational energies, right? Your chakras now start to become translucent, which means Uguti, they are foggy. They can give some light and receive some light, but it's not an abundance of light. And if you're not receiving this life force in abundance, then what is going to happen? Then life is going to dwindle, obviously. Okay, so the things that bring you pleasure, happiness, fulfillment in life, they're going to dwindle. Kubalulekile to pay attention to your happiness coefficient. It measures your level of happiness according to the state of your chakras, how they're being affected. Your chakras will always tell you, as long as you are connected to your physical body, you will always know what's going on with your mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. But we have to pay attention. Okay, how do we pay attention? We quieten down and we listen, because these energies are subtle. Okay, so we need to learn to listen to self. Siyathanda ukulalela abantu. Siyathanda quieten it down to listen to what other people have to say. But we do not invest in our own inner compass, our guidance, our intuition. Tuition is a study, right? Receiving a teaching, receiving guidance. That is tuition. Okay, so intuition, right, is your inner teaching, your inner guidance. We don't want to quieten down and go within and listen to the guidance and the teachings that we receive within. So I receive kanjani through our guides and ancestors, who we are DNA related and connected to. Right? You will always be guided. You just need to learn to quieten down to listen. That's why I city meditate. We're not trying to be fancy. Meditation is going to quieten down your physical body so that you are sensitive to the emotional body, to the mental body. Okay? So it makes you sensitive to your subtle bodies, to your high vibrational bodies. Okay, in meditation, by quietening down your physical body. All right. So Gogo, how do we calculate this happiness coefficient? As a human being, you give and receive light right through your energy centers, your chakras that are aligned along your spine. Okay, there are 7 in total that you need to concern yourself with as a human being having a physical experience, right? And so you have to meditate, because you need to listen now to your chakras. Ama chakras uwalalela kanjani? At the location and position of every chakra, there is a set of organs. Okay, so the crown chakra ilanga phezulu. Okay, that's why abantwana mabezalwa bazalwa benani benento esithi ukhakhayi in the Nguni languages, right? I think in Xhosa as well ngukhakai, but in Zulu ukhakai. Okay, they have like an opening la ethi kancane. Abantwana bamanje ke isiyaba subtle kakhulu. Okay, but I remember my son had it as well, ukhakai. Okay, and so ke the bones, the cranial bones la asuke ngakafuse, that is the crown chakra. Okay, and it is in the region of what? Of your brain. Okay, of your head. So now you listen, okay, Uguti, in my head region, is everything okay? Do I have a headache? Do I feel a tension? Is there some sort of discomfort? You are listening for discomfort in your chakras or in the region of your chakras, guys, okay? And then you come to your third eye region, okay, where your pineal gland is, right? So it's no longer necessarily ingqondo, it's where your pineal gland, that is the gland that is responsible for dreams, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So ke ngoku, you listen to this area. Amehlo anjani. Okay, so Mina, for example, I have a lot of discomfort that I experience in the region of my third eye. This is your third eye chakra. Okay, because yes, sebenza ayidlali. My third eye is open. I see a lot, right? These past 3 weeks have been extremely hectic for me as well. Okay, seeing a lot, and so again, my eyes are tired. They are tired. Okay, so I feel a discomfort in that area. All right, so okay, I know with manje, I need to do what? I need to harmonize. I need to cleanse. I need to clear my third eye chakra. Okay, through what? Through spiritual maintenance. Okay, so I'm going to cleanse. I'm going to use steaming herbs. Okay, to clear and cleanse my third eye chakra. I'm going to rest as well. Get enough rest. Okay, drink plenty of water. Make sure I'm hydrated fully. Okay, ngidle healthy. UMakhulu explained spiritual maintenance to you guys. Izinto that have been covered in this podcast, I'm not going to recover in comments. Some of you are asking me, how do I uphold spiritual maintenance? If you didn't catch it, so okay, you need to catch it. Go back to the episodes. They are there for you guys. They are on YouTube. You can access them non-paid. They are free. You just pay for your data or go your connected Wi-Fi somewhere, get free Wi-Fi and watch these episodes. Okay, she tells you ukuthi spiritual maintenance yomuntu sikanjani. Okay, so okay, then we move on to the throat chakra. Okay, so this is where your pharynx and larynx, I think. Yes, your pharynx and larynx, yin leo, that is your throat, that is your voice box, your esophagus, your trachea, your breathing tube, your eating tube. Okay, sihamba la. Yini lena konje yin. What is this chakra? What is going on with me, guys? No. Yazi yangisogolisa throat chakra. I need to drink some water. You have your throat chakra. You have your throat chakra, your communication chakra, right? And so you need to check ukuthi umqala right, umphimbo right. You don't have tension there. Do you have some sort of discomfort? Okay, tonsils are a big one. Okay, if you're constantly struggling with tonsillitis, that is a blockage in your throat chakra. Okay, inkinga leyo. So then you would get help from a spiritual healer, right? Owaziyo ke ukuthi izohilishwa kanjani leyo affliction ye throat chakra. Okay, you may have issues with finding your voice, maybe living an authentic life as well, finding your place, finding your purpose, So okay, you feel like life has no purpose. We are phefumula nje but awuna sense of direction, understand ukuthi kahle kahle mina, what am I here to do? Issues like that, they affect your throat chakra. Also, victims of abuse who've been suppressed, or kuthiwe ekhaya masifihla ihlazo, something happened to hurt you and harm you, and you had to keep it a secret. You couldn't express the truth. Okay, the throat chakra also has a lot to do with truth. Okay, so if umuntu nje oneyimfihlo, that's why sithi ubambileli izinto esifubeni. If you have secrets or things that osfihlile that you're not communicating, okay, that you're not letting off your chest, yini i-blockage yonke leyo ye throat chakra. Okay, lezo zinto, they block the throat chakra. Okay, guys, some of you are also under the impression ukuthi when your chakras are blocked, you need to come see a healer azokunikeza i-cleanse or akwenze so-called cutting in. Yes, that's fine, we can do that, but you have to go back and heal the wound, okay? Because one thing about Mphemba, she's not the kind of healer, ozologe redundant, ends in day order, but we're not seeing progress, we're not seeing a resolution, okay? So, okay, I can give you a cleanse that is going to clean this layer, but now you need to go back and do the peeling, okay? So you need to, if it's therapy that you need, then go to therapy, okay? There are so many ways in which you can release, emotional, mental pain, so many techniques. Maybe among I need to share here with you guys. A full moon release ritual is one big one, okay? Because we write down the things we want to release, right? So we're putting these spiritual things onto paper, and then again we use these herbs as CAMAGU isibhusha ukuthi sibhushuze those energies and remove them from our lives. We burn them, and again through this cleansing power of the moon, right? The moon then knows we've been intentional ukuthi this is the energy that we want to release, and the moon is able to then pull those energies, those spiritual energies, from our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, and we start to see positive changes. So you have to now, as umuntu, do your own healing. Okay, ungathembi nje ukuthi amayeza the whole time. That is just an aspect. Okay, as a high vibrational human being, you are well rounded. All right, so you take care of yourself. Ngeindlela eziningi. Yes, you get cleansed. Yes, you do your cord cutting, okay? But then also go to therapy if you need to go to therapy, to talk to somebody, all right? Keep a journal, writing things down. That used to help me as a teenager, okay? Because I was going through the most. I was psychic. I was being approached by these dead people. Let me tell you a story, actually. A lot of you guys like my stories, Manisha. So again, I was probably in grade 3 or 4, okay, at this time. Sasithanda ukudlala-ke estradini. Mina ngikhulele endaweni yaseSikhaweni, okay, in the city of Umhlathuze, right? I was surrounding towns kuSempangeni naseRichards Bay. So, okay, eSikhaweni sasidlala-ke lapha estradini, sidlala ugxa, right? Ugxa, I think is it hopscotch? Ngesingisi angazi. I'm going to put the correct term here, right? But ke thina sasinabazali abangothisha sasitshontsha uchoke endlini sidwebeke the circles and the rectangles, etc. If awuna choke udweba ngetshe, you find a stone, dwebe ngetshe la on the road. And so the whole point is ukuthini uphosa itshe, you throw a stone and it must land within this shape, okay? And then you hop, go collect the stone and hop back, etc. Okay. So sasithanda ukudlala, sasithi ugxa, if I'm not mistaken. Sasithanda ukudlala ugxa, right? With the kids estradini sasekhaya. So remember bamna ndingulo psychic, ndingulo oyi-medium, but ongazazi uba what the heck is going on with me. And at this point in time, I'm not able to differentiate between a departed or deceased soul and a soul umuntu ophilayo vele, because bayafana ngithi, bafika ngomzimba wabo angithi. So okay, right. The only difference is that other people can't see them. So kube khona this guy, right? Sengimkhohliwe igama lakhe, it's like it skips. Hey, I forgot igama lakhe, right? This guy was really short. Very, like, not old looking, but ubumbona ukuthi ngathi umuntu omdala, right? Unobuso bomuntu omdala. But mfishane, this guy, mfishane ngisho kunami, I think, osiyalingana, right? But he's definitely shorter than my parents, he's shorter than my siblings, And so, umakhelwane opposite, kwakunestamkoko, sisakhona, okay, kunestamkoko, right? Istamkoko is a drain, guys. Ile drain tonton, that concrete one has a concrete slab, so uyahlala ke lapha phezulu. And wayethanda ukuhlala ke lapho, right, esitamkokweni. Uba this guy, kodwa ino-T phakathi igama lakhe. Wayethanda ukuhlala ke lapho esitamkokweni, right? And ke he'd call me, sidlala ugxa. Ngihlale ke nami naye esitamkokweni. And he asked me one day, he said he wanted to be my friend. Mina ke socialite of note, or back in the day I used to be. I was like, oh, okay, no, it's fine. Waza ke sodlala ugxa in, right? Now, you guys must understand, ne, ukuthi ngidlala ney'ngane zasestradini. Okay. So ke ngoba ngiyohlala esitamkokweni nechomi yami, yim ngedwa oyibonayo le chomi, right? So ke hayi sixoxe vele with this guy. Wayikhuluma nje into eziningi, you know, mase ngikhathele ukuloku ngixhumaxhuma, right? Because also ndingulo or anemic, I get tired easily. So ke ngiyahlala ngiphumule. I'm talking, I'm laughing. Now, obviously, things are starting to look a little bit strange, angithi, to the kids that I'm playing with, lana. But they didn't pay any mind kakhulu, yabon. Indaba ya this guy. So, okay, this guy, he has a thing where ufuna ngimkhaphe siyesitolo kwamkhonto the whole time, right? Because ufuna ukuyothenga kwakhona ubhiya kuthiwa i-Lion Lager, ngazi noma isakhona yini. He used to drink i-Lion Lager, guys. I had a friend who drank i-Lion Lager ngimncane. I was probably grade 3 or 4 ngoba ngisho. Wayethenga ikanini, ikani lakhona lisa creamish yellowish libhalwe kuno gold kodwa there's red Lion Lager somewhere, right? And he used to buy le Lion Lager, sihambe ke sekamkhonto sithenga i-Lion Lager, sibuye ke sihlale la esitamkokweni naye. Now the crazy thing is that I'm the only one who's seeing this guy. Angazi ukuthi le Lion Lager angazi ukuthi esitolo babembona yini mina. Ngangimbona anginika imali athi bangithenga i-Lion Lager, ngithenga i-Lion Lager. Kodwa guys nalabantu abadayisa izitolo, if they couldn't see him, why would they give a child i-Lion Lager? But anyways, wayengithuma nginika imali ukuthi ngimthenge i-Lion Lager, ngimthengele umfishane yena akafiki kulama bars, and mina ngangikwazi nokukotela nokucokama yabo. So ke I used to buy leyo Lion Lager ngimnike chomi yami sihambe sibuye sohlala esitamkokweni, you know. My friends, obviously, they started telling their parents, and then it turned into a whole saga of bullying, of uqophisana ngamazwi between the women estradini and my mother. And they were saying all kinds of things, ukuthi le ngane le iyahlanya and whatnot, you know. Noma was complaining ukuthi ingane zabo zitshontsho nodolo, like it was a mess. But what got to me kule back and forth yabazali is the fact that I was called crazy because I'm talking to invisible people. And I was in grade 4 actually, I think. Because I was going through the most escole, no Mrs. Frey and my headmaster as well because of this psychic thing. And so again, I realized, Uguti, you know what? Something is wrong. Something is wrong with me. Something is wrong. I told my friend the following day after that whole fight happened, and my parents had told me that I'm no longer allowed to go dlala phandle, sengizohlala endlini. So I used to now look at my friends through the curtain ewindini sitting room bedlala ngikhalele nami. And badlala ney'ngane zala ekhaya, my siblings, kodwa ke sizothini. So ke ngoku I told my friend, wahlala esitamkokweni, hayi vele nganyonyoba ngohlala naye esitamkokweni. Ngamtshela ngathi, hey, yazi nginenkinga lana manje kuthiwa mina ngiyahlanya ngoba yo guys ayikho into engeke iyenzeka. Ngithola nama-phone call namhlanje ngiyafilma. Hey angazi. But anyways, again, I explained to my friend ukuthi hayi ngathi ubona yimi ngedwa. That's when he told me ukuthi no vele ngibona uye ngedwa. Washo kodwa ukuthi ubani, I forgot the name. Wathi malume kaSmangele. uSmangele was a girl who lived just after you turn ikhona. I think babe ngomakhelwane bakwamnyandu, you know. Yeah, baga tishumnyand. So okay. Usmangele had a very scary grandmother, and so that was the grandmother's son, you know. And he had passed, yada yada yada. And so I explained to him, oh, I can't be your friend anymore. I can't be your friend anymore. I'm no longer allowed to play outside. We're not going to see each other, you know. And so we said our goodbyes. Yo, ayina indoda isintshela ukuthi iyangithanda kwasha kwacima. I was so terrified. I ran back ekhaya ngangena ngecapha. Abazali babengakabuyi. Mangene ekhaya, my cousin was there and she was playing with Channel O South Africa, guys. Thina sikhule nje Channel O mahala. I think kwakusawu SABC 1 Simunye or something. And kwakudlala Channel O kudlala the Whitney Houston song. Kwakudlala le culo lika Whitney Houston, Your Love, right? Yo. Whenever I heard that song growing up, trauma engangiba nayo. It took me years to deal with that trauma because angibalekela itrauma yami esingishela ibi yispoko, right? Like hey trauma. So ke benginguloyo ke mina okhule nje vele ngina lezo zinto, okay. Ngina lawo ma experiences, right? So ke writing down all these things that traumatized me really helped me as a teenager, because I had a lot of anger. I was very misunderstood. I'm going to this church. They don't have answers for me. Everything is just ambiguous, but I'm going through the most. So I used to just journal. I kept a file. Ifile exempeti ubaba had a puncher bengibhala le exempeti ngipunch ngifake kwifile yami, my pink file, right? And so it helped me to release a lot of the things that made me angry, all that pent up frustration that I had growing up because I was not understood as a child who has the gift of psychic mediumship, okay? So, blockages in your throat chakra, very important to release, okay? Bengingakwazi nokuzi-expressa kula ngafunda khona ukudikila, right? Ukuthi mangizwa nje ukuthi umuntu is making me uncomfortable or uyangicasula, I'm going to ignore you, right? Up until I act physically, right? Either I punch you or nje ngangipuncha ke mina. I was just aggressive. I'd punch you or slap you and ngingabi nandaba futhi, you know, because why? Why are you making me uncomfortable? But again, those are all things that you need to heal. And journaling is a tool that you can use in order to release a lot of pent-up emotions, okay? Write those things down, burn them. If full moon release iyanceda because you can burn them on the full moon or during the full moon, and then again, you being intentional about the release. That happens either way, but now you're being intentional about the energies that you're releasing. Okay, good. So Gengoku, we move on to our heart chakra. When you have a wound that is weighing heavily on your heart chakra, that is a problem because that is your organ of desire. Okay, so those so desires and this beta is low vibrational, is miyama because you've got a blockage in your heart chakra. Okay, so very important to heal those blockages, harmonize those blockages. Okay, mina ke heart chakra, I prefer when the cord cutting. I just prefer when the cord cutting to remove any entities that may be there, right? Ngobani, because in my line of work, abathakati bayithakatha kakhulu heart chakra. Angithi that's your organ of desire. So they know ukuthi balumkile phela. They know ukuthi if they want ukuthi ama heart's desires akho angafezeki, they're going to send an entity as a blocker your heart chakra. So I prefer a cord cutting for a heart chakra. Okay, you would have to now look for discomfort gupi in your heart chakra. Okay, we move on to our solar plexus. Big one. This is your energy center of action. Ngobani? Ngoba you need to act in order to create, and birth. Okay, so get blockages in the solar plexus chakra. Ayahlupha. You will not see anything through. Whatever action you take, whatever goal you pursue, angeke uze uyiphelelise. Okay, uzo give up kakhulu. Lo give up wena. Things get tough for you. Experience challenges, you give up. And uphelelwa motivation galula fast. Okay, abanye uyavilapha nje, you're lethargic, uyinto ehlezi khathele, right? You have gastric issues njalo nje wena wadla sewuya irritateka. You've got irritable bowel syndrome, igut yakho seya irritateka, right? There's a lot, but solar plexus, yo, when it's blocked, inkinga, because you will not manifest anything in life. Okay, by block solar plexus now, right? You guys dream of yourselves eating in dreams, and you think, yo, it's nice. Nginginibona joke ukuthi yo bengidla namasaladi ngithi you will not manifest anything in life. Okay, because noma ungazama kangakanani imizamo yakho izophelela nje midway, halfway, angazi nowhere, right? So ama blockages solar plexus, very important to clear them. Okay, ngiyathanda ke mina ukuyiclearisha through imbiza kaMakhulu, that is going to go and remove whatever lo oyikile in dream state. Remove it, cleanse it, right? I do also do a cord cutting, yes, solar plexus chakra, because very important. They do send entities to block your productivity. So yes, I do a curse breaker, futhi as well. Yes, right. And then we have your sacral chakra. Okay, sacral chakra also very important. This one is the one that creates the manj, right? Your creative efforts, right? Fertility is a big one. Reproductive health is a big one. Okay, uthola ukuthi umuntu wesilisa kuthiwa une-sperm count low. Uthola ukuthi umuntu wesifazane kuthiwa she has an incompetent womb, akazali infertile, akwaziyo ukuthi kwenzakalani. Uneyinto eziningi nje, ama-fibroids and whatnot. Ama-fibroids are also generational curse because they passed on as well, right? So breaking a generational curse, you need to know herbs are specific that are used to break generational curses. So you need that wisdom from idlos lakho. So you're looking for discomfort. Period pains are a big one. You're not supposed to be getting period pains, ladies. Okay, that's a blockage. All right. So you're looking for discomforts aganjalo in that area. Frequent UTIs. Nama frequent UTIs njalo. Okay. Discomforts, itching, kuma genitals. Yonke nje leyo nto le. And then we move on to the root chakra. This is your sense of security, sense of belonging, okay? Once something is birthed, right, it is birthed through your root chakra, and it is secure now in your physical experience, in your reality, okay? So a sense of security, a sense of grounding, very important, root chakra, okay? So when you struggle with things like piles, okay, like constipation, that's a blockage in your root chakra, okay? That is a problem. That means you don't have a sense of securing much in life. And your root chakra, you're borderline experiencing poverty. There's some sort of poverty that is going on in your life, okay? There is some sort of lack that you're feeling in your life experience, all right? To calculate your happiness coefficient, right? You feel for any discomfort in these regions. Okay, so we check your head, we check your eyes, we check your throat, we check your chest, we check your stomach area, right? We check your bladder area, and then we check your bum area. If you are experiencing any type of discomfort in those areas, right? You count again the number of chakras that you're experiencing discomfort in, right? or the region of those chakras. Okay, so okay, let's say you've got a headache and you're struggling with digestive issues, or you've got heartburn, right? And those are the only two areas of your body where you're feeling discomfort. So then again, you will take those two areas and you're going to now divide them by your 7 chakras. So that'll be 2 divided by 7. Okay. And then it is going to give you, right, a decimal value. Okay. A point something value. So, okay, you then multiply that by 100 in order to what? In order to get a percentage. Okay, simple mathematics or calculator, happiness coefficient. Okay, so you've got 2 areas of discomfort on your body. So that is going to be 2 out of the 7 areas of your chakras divided by 7 and then times 100. That is going to give you a percentage. Okay, you round off the percentage to a whole. So if it gives you 36.25, then you're going to round that off to 36%. Okay. You want your happiness coefficient to be less than 35%. Okay. When your happiness coefficient is less than 35%, right, that means that you still have a good chance to heal those chakras, right, to clear and cleanse them and remove the afflictions, right, to harmonize the energetic afflictions lingering, to heal those chakras. And you are in a good position to manifest high vibrational energies into your lives. Okay, you're in a good position. That means Guti, you are high vibrational. Okay, if your happiness coefficient is below 35%, okay, you're good to go. Ideally, you want your happiness coefficient to be 0. You want it to be 0. Okay. You want to, when you assess all your chakras, uzithola ukuthi nginumber 1 yonke indawo. Angizwa any type of discomfort. Okay. You're not just looking for physical discomfort. You're also looking for emotional, mental discomfort, guys. Okay. So if you're struggling with stress and depression, that is an affliction. That's a problem. So you count it. All right. Wesike if udla omapilisi bama depression, you definitely count it. Okay. If wena ungulo who just has a lot of sadness in your heart is heavy. If wena ungulo who's being weighed down by a heavy secret that you're keeping within, uyazibala zonke lezo zinto when you're calculating your happiness coefficient. Okay. If Leo happiness coefficient ingale kwe 35%, that's a problem. And the higher it is, the more problematic, because manje, you are at risk of entering the separation phase of decomposition and expansion prematurely. Okay. So kubalekile, this dress keeps lifting up. Oh yini, yazi kodwa ubuhle siyabusebenzela. So okay, it's very important to be mindful of your happiness coefficient and try to keep it as low as possible. The lower it is, the more high vibrational you are, the more you are at an advantaged position to manifest high vibrational energies. Okay, very important. So calculate your happiness coefficient, guys. Ibalekile eyami calculator every single day. Every single day I check on my chakras because kubalekile, I've got a lot of things that I'm manifesting. Okay? And you also pay attention to dream guidance. You pay attention to your environment. Okay? Your guides and ancestors always use your physical environment to communicate. They use animals. They use your social media. They use your TV screens. They're always communicating. They use repetitive numbers. Calculate your happiness coefficient. This ensures ukuthi you are in a state of happiness. My stomach is growling angakaki. So this ensures ukuthi you maintain a state of happiness so that you can attract these high vibrational energies that are going to maintain a state of happiness, compound a sense of happiness. What are those energies? Blessings. Okay, they are blessings. So we're looking at poverty, right? Why umuntu omnyama ehlupheka kangaka? Why umuntu omnyama ilack kube i-reality yakhe? Okay. Remember ukuthi this poverty is a consequence of a belief which now stems from indoctrination yengqondo ye human being, right? So that they now exhibit or adopt a particular mindset. So remember ukuthi as Africans, we went through an experience where our predecessors came into contact with colonizers of their land, of our land. And so lama colonizers, they then played tricks, right? And created lama doctrine, the backbone of which came from vele ama belief systems o khokho bethu. What do you mean, Gogo? Niyabo leli Bible leni nilifundayo. It is divided into Old Testament and New Testament. Lapha kwi-Old Testament, iy'tori zokhokho benu ke lezo. Those are the stories that they used to pass on as inganekwane in order to maintain the knowledge, the wisdom in the lineage, right? In order for the next generations, ukuthi bazi ngokhokho babo. There was a lot that was passed on. One such major story in the Old Testament is the story of Isaac and Esau, which actually stems from the Ndebele tribe. Okay, so that is a story that is shared, that was shared as inganekwane by the Ndebele tribe, by the men and the women, uMakhulu noTamkhulu, uGogo noMkhulu in the Ndebele tribe. And thanks to the work of this missionary who had come and was welcomed by the Ndebele people, wasizwa lesi story. At the time, babengakafiki namabhayibheli, kushuthi babezo-assessa. And ke wayengulo obhalayo. So ke wabhala ke leyo record yakhe ke. And this was a story that was told to him behleli around the fire, and wayexelelwa ngamaxhegu, old men. So his argument was, what amazed me was when my colleagues left Africa and came back with this book, with this Bible that now has an Old Testament and a New Testament. But the Old Testament has the stories that Labo Mkhulu are talking about around the fire, right? And Labo Mkhulu, they are too old to have taken that information from iBhayibheli, because that Bible was not even translated. They didn't know how to read and write in Labo, he said, right? And so when he read these stories, they were strikingly similar to those of the Ndebele people, and he was wondering what the heck is going on. Zavalwa ke lezo incwadi zakhe nemibhalo yakhe, zablockwa, destroyed and whatnot. Ihamba kanjalo ke indoctrination. Uyabona ukuthi bafike nencwadi that details itori, irreality zokhokho babo, right? So they what? They relate and resonate, right? And they put it as an Old Testament. Ukuthini? Ukuthi this is the old way. And then kufika a New Testament that is now introducing a new God, so to speak, that everybody must worship. And if you don't, you're going to burn. You're going to be tossed into a fire. Ho, ho, ho. Kanjani, you know. Bathuka. And so, because they resonated with these stories zabo, it was easy now ukwenza njani ukuba indoctrinator into now believing this new system. Okay. And through our predecessors believing in this new system, adopting this new belief, worshipping this God that they don't know, who looks like these colonizers, right? They then started to what? They then started to see poverty manifest, right? Empilweni zabo, and that perpetuated to the generations and the generations. Okay. So, in order to move away from this lack, from this poverty, Mphemba is trying to realign you, right, with the ways of your predecessors that brought them a lot of abundance. Okay. Okay. They never went hungry. Crops abo ayeflourisha. All right. Do you know that African kings and chiefs struggled with gout because they ate too much meat? There was just too much livestock in surplus. You know? Abantu babengalambi ngey'nsuku zakudala. Before the colonizers came to colonize, before they came and indoctrinated our predecessors to adopt a belief that brings them lack. Okay. So kubalulekile to realign if we want to move away from poverty. We need to move away from this impoverished mindset. Okay, you need to understand that God is an energy, guide of destiny. God is made up of the many elements of the earth and of the other realms that we know nothing of yet, that only our ancestors and guides who have achieved crossover have access to. Okay. God is not a colonizer looking like man sitting on a throne giving orders. That is a human archetype that was created in order to control people and move them to a state of poverty. Okay. God is abundant. If you want to understand God, look at the earth. The earth provides for everybody. There's enough food for everybody. There is enough oxygen for everybody. That is God. There's enough for everybody. Now, where greed comes in, that is not God. That is not of God. So then I ask UMakhulu, okay, how do we align? How do we align with this abundance energy? Okay, as now these impoverished people who want to move away from a state of lack, right? And again, she explained the following. Melanin, right? Melanin is the substance that gives us our skin tone, our skin color. It is abundant in the universe, okay? And as these human beings, we have condensed, the energy has precipitated into our physical bodies, right? From these energies that are at play in the universe, okay? Melanin is one of those energies, okay? Melanin gives us our skin tone. Now, here's the thing. Melanin exists in abundance, right? And when it now condenses into human form so that we present as lama skin tone A2, it follows one of either two processes. This melanin that is abundant in our universe is either going to be oxidized, right, in order to form a particular type of melanin, one particular type of melanin, or it is going to be dispersed. It is going to spread. Okay, this is very important because this now gives rise to the different skin tones that we see, skin color. Okay, as human beings, our skin color. So, in Caucasian people, right, or people of a lighter skin tone, yellowish, reddish, right, people of a non-dark skin tone. So they would fit in the yellowish, reddish hue, right? The melanin oxidizes. Oxidation means ukuthi there is a loss of electrons. So the melanin loses electrons in order to form this pale color, this pale version of melanin. Okay. And this is the melanin that then is expressed through the Caucasian people. Okay, here in South Africa, we say white people. All right, they present as pale looking, right? Because they have this type of oxidized melanin, which is called pheomelanin. Pheomelanin. Now, pheo comes from the Greek word. I think it's, I forgot the pronunciation, but it comes from the Greek word which means gray. It's fear something. Okay, I'll put it here, which means gray. Okay, now gray is a pale color. So this pheomelanin is a pale type, a pale version of melanin. Okay, and it comes to be through loss. Through loss. So the very constituent of this pale form of melanin, of this pheomelanin, is lack. That is its constituent. It lacks. Okay. And then we have this abundant melanin in the universe, which now disperses. It does what, Coco? It disperses. It spreads. Okay. Just like this energy, the solar energy, that then spreads. Right? And as it disperses, no oxidation takes place here, doesn't lose nothing, doesn't lose no electrons. It just disperses, and as the energy condenses, this dispersion then manifests as a range of hues. A range of hues. Right? So because it didn't lose anything, it didn't become pale or grayish looking, right? It maintained its rich tone. Okay, and so we get these different hues, these different bands. What does that remind you of? The visible spectrum. So, okay, that is the skin tone yomuntu omnyama, rich, abundant, and vast. In alignment with the universe, with the visible spectrum. Right? So she said, we are already aligned as Africans. You are already aligned with abundance. That's why the African soil, African land is the most abundant in the entire world. There is no land as abundant as African land. You will never find it. African land is abundant naturally. You will also never find a skin tone as dark as that of African people. Okay. Some of you claim, yes, but people in India, that's Asia, they moved out of Upper Africa. They moved out of Upper Africa. Okay? Lapha go Egypt, they moved out of there and relocated to Asia and settled there. Okay? I think those people are called nomads, people who move and settle elsewhere. Okay. So as an African child, you are naturally abundant. You are naturally wealthy. Okay. Now what happens when somebody who lacks comes into contact with somebody who has plenty? Remember, the person who has plenty, you're born into this wealth. You're born into this abundance. So it's not on your mind. All right? You may even take it for granted. Just like we do the oxygen that we breathe. We're born into this oxygen, so we breathe it and we never think of its importance. We never think to appreciate it. And in appreciating this oxygen, that means we need to be mindful of our carbon footprint. We need to take care of our plants and trees. We're not mindful of that. We'll suffocate. We don't think of that. Because we're born into this abundance of oxygen. Right? But to a person ozalwe lapha North Pole, where the air is thin and cold, where the oxygen is low, they appreciate every single day. You know, I watched a documentary about those people and the things they have to do just to stay alive, just to breathe kahle and not suffer from hypothermia. If they would come here and see you guys the way you go on, they would absolutely be amazed at how oblivious you guys are to how good you've got it. So there are African chiefs, kings, you know, being surrounded by all this abundance, they were very welcoming to the colonizers who came from lack. You know, they came from lack. They were fighting against one another for resources. You know, they were going to war with one another for resources. You know? So our African kings, chiefs were very generous. They gave them a lot of our resources, a lot of the gold, ivory, you know. But when you lack, you are never satisfied. You are never satisfied. And a gift is not enough for you. You want more. You want it all. You know? And so they wanted to take more. Because babu ukuthi hayibo nanglo mjite ohlamba emfuleni aziwudla ngegolide ususinsila ngegolide igolide lento le. This is gold. We want to make crowns to sit on our heads, crowns made out of gold. We want that diamond. We want to decorate those crowns. You know? And so they had to devise a plan to now steal. You understand? And now when you don't appreciate what you have, it's easy for you to lose lezo zinto lezo because your guards are down. So as modern day African people, UMakhulu wants us to understand ukuthi we are naturally abundant, and what we need to do is we need to come to. Okay, she says the issue is not that we are not abundant. The issue is that we have been misaligned. Okay, and so we just need to get back on track. You need to understand, Guti, you naturally have access to all the things that you desire. You also need to understand, Guti, your heart's desires cannot only be centered around the material aspect of life. You can't just want money and want nice houses and nice cars. What do you want emotionally? What do you want mentally? Some of you just desire nice things. You don't desire mental health, peace of mind. You don't desire high intellect. You don't desire emotional wisdom. You don't even pray for those things. Even when you phahla, you don't phahla for those things. You just want the material. And you want ukuthi idlozi lakho libe nomdlandla, libe motivated to do all these things for you. Just because what? Just because you want to live lavish, you want to live nicely. Kodwa umuntu who has zero substance. Who has zero substance. How do you give back to others? You know? Umuntu omnyama is charitable. Because abundance is charitable. Look at God. Look at God's universe. Are you not seeing this? Are you not seeing how charitable the universe is? The universe gives and doesn't want anything back from us. We destroy and the universe replenishes itself in order to keep giving to us. Umuntu omnyama is charitable. Yet the majority of us, you will never see any kind of charitable act come from us. You know, it's crazy. Some of us have the ability to start charities. We don't do that. We don't give back. You know, whatever money we make is ours. Okay, fine. What about the emotional stuff? You know? Some of you have a lot to share, life experiences that affected you emotionally that you were able to overcome. You're not sharing that. Go to social media now. You say phone in, just press a button and record. You're not sharing your experiences. You're not helping people out there. You're not doing it. You know? I come out here and I share my experiences. As uMakhulu teaches, I share my experiences. Begin challenge in the last episode, yay, ngathakathwa. Wangithakatha. Zangithakatha, nazi false healers. And this is what happened, and this is what happened. You know, I share my childhood stories. Because ukhona omunye umntwana okhona somewhere. Psychic medium thi uyahlanya. Thi ubona izinto ezingabonwa. Because people are low vibrational. Nobody wants to understand ukuthi hayibo kwenzakalani. Let's understand ukuthi kwenzakalani. We're easy to label abantu. Uyahlanya, ukuthi. And then what do you gain from that? Besides lowering your vibration so that you don't cross over. What do you gain? Nalu ukuhlanya namhlanje lusiza abantu. Nalu uhlanya. Laba babethi uyahlanya badinga usizo lwalo uhlanya because impilo zimile. They don't even understand ukuthi impilo imeleni. They don't even know ukuthi yini campus can serve karma relationship awasebenzi. Sebedinga lona usizo lohlanya. Umuntu omnyama is charitable. Umuntu omnyama is kind. Umuntu omnyama uyamhlonipha omunye umuntu omnyama. You don't lack. You don't lack at all. You don't lack in love. You don't lack in care. You don't lack in compassion. You don't lack in charity. You don't even lack in wealth. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual wealth. You don't lack. You just believe in an indoctrination that is bringing lack to your lives, that gives you an impoverished mindset. And so you exhibit the behaviors and characteristics of an impoverished mind. That's what you exhibit. You know? So you need to realign. You don't just use the elements of the earth to cleanse, to clear, to fight, to protect, yourselves and your loved ones. You also embark on inner healing. You also listen to intuition, inner guidance, inner teachings. Okay, you need to research, guys, ways in which you can heal certain traumas. You guys like to be spoon-fed, the majority of you. No, it doesn't work like that. I will teach you because that is the mandate that my ancestors have given me. Information bafundise. But I will never put a silver spoon in your mouth. Uzosifakela wena lo silver spoon. I won't do it. So you need to research other ways in which you can heal traumas. And you use spiritual maintenance as your support system. As much as ngangithakathiwe, by the time my calling came and I had to accept it, yes, I was given the guidance to cleanse, remove isichitho, right? Or izichitho lezo, right? But I was also guided towards other healing methods. I had to join Reiki. And yangisiza iReiki kakhulu, because this psychic medium in Joburg, Karen Langa, I remember when she was channeling for us during that session. And ngangimile ngenza itiye, kushuthi I was the last one. We were just coming back from our tea break. I was the last one to sit down. And she said, okay, Nongceba, you go to the wall. There's an aura wall, right? It's just a blank white wall. As a psychic, we're able to then see clearly. Abantu abahamba now. So, ngibhoreke kanjani. Bengingafuni mina ukuma kule wall. Wayezoqala ngami. Because I was the last one to sit down. Mangima kule aura wall. Athi woo. Okay, she tells me who's coming through. My dad was one of the first people to come through. Announces himself by name. And then she says, your heart area is black. It is navy quarter to black. What is going on? I was carrying a lot of anger, a lot of grief at the time. A lot of anger. I was a mess. And she said, you need to heal. Because as dark as that heart is, and as much as it is dark because other people hurt you, you neglecting your healing is you accepting that darkened condition. And you will not be able to cross over when you pass on. You will not be able to be a high vibrational spirit guide. That hit home for me. And I took Reiki seriously, and I made sure ukuthi I heal. I heal my heart space. Inhliziyo uyayizwa mangabe yasindwa. Ngangizwa ngathi khonto ehleli la esifubeni, ngathi ngangibreathe heavily. Ngangikhohlela njalo. Ngizwa vele uthi hayi khonto ekhona. Kanti ngibambelele to grief, hurt, grudges, resentment. You can never stop a person from hurting you, but you can stop them from having control over your life, from them hurting you. You can heal. Reclaim your power back and maintain it. That puts them in a powerless position. Don't allow other people to hinder your ability to cross over. Heal. Let go. Heal. Do whatever it is you need to do. Purge. Ama full moon release angisiza kakhulu. Crystal moon water helped me kakhulu. Those are things I'll be sharing on my TikTok. Kwangisiza kakhulu. My son was an integral part of my healing. seeing the way he'd look at me with wonderment and absolutely no knowledge of the trauma that mom has been through. I knew ukuthi angeke ngikwazi ukuthatha my unpleasant life experiences and burden umntanami ngawo. Makahlezi nje ecabanga ukuthi life is fluffy, it's fine. It's fine. Life will teach him the lessons that he needs to learn, but I'm not going to contribute to burdening umntwana ngento engekho, ngento that I could have healed. You see? And after doing my healing, my life took off in a different but beautiful direction. You see now? So as umuntu omnyama, recall, realign, come to. Right? There's a wealth of information that is there. There are many light workers out there who are sharing vital information with you guys. Right? The majority of you struggle to identify or to see the difference between false healers and true healers. Energy doesn't lie. Look at the energy. Look at the energy. A false healer has no business with trying to make you understand or comprehend things. They are loud, they are pompous, they always recruit. Come to me, come get this. There is no quick fix to healing. There is no quick fix to abundance. There is only true alignment and true harmonizing of energetic afflictions lingering. Okay, it's a process. It's a process. Healing is a process. Awulimali namhlanje uvuke kusasa isilonda sipholile, it's a process. Sisazo go through a lot. There's still going to be scabbing. There's still going to be itching esilondweni before siphole. So learn to be patient with self. Learn to truly understand the guidance of your guides and ancestors. They're not trying to perform magic tricks for you. Okay? Their work is serious. Their work affects an entire lineage. Impilo zabantu. Learn to understand your environment. Learn to understand this God energy. And most of all, learn to align. Okay? As a human being of African origin, poverty has no business being a part of your lifescape. So if you are struggling with poverty, there needs to be a paradigm shift that you undergo. You need to now do some introspection, retrospection. Okay, futurespection, if you will. Where do you see your life? Where are you headed? Where do you wish to be? And you need to now match that high vibrational energy through the spiritual tools that are available to you as a human being here on earth. Okay. All right. I'm comfortable leaving today's episode there. The take home is the very melanin in your skin tone tells you that you are an abundant human being. Okay? You don't lack in anything, Muntu Mnyama. You don't lack. All right? Maintain your true path, maintain authenticity. Use the happiness coefficient to assess your chakras. Okay? And move in the direction of healing. Do not ignore the guidance and messages from your guides and ancestors. Do not ignore the messages that your physical body is telling you through these chakras. Uguti, there's a bit of maintenance that is needed there. Okay. All in all, stay African, stay true to yourselves. You will never miss the mark. And you will never entertain any kind of poverty in your lives. Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Because that is not who you are. You are an abundant, rich, healthy, wealthy African human being. Thank you so much for tuning in to this installment of the Healing Podcast with uGogo Mphemba. May your healing be absolute. And profound in this lifetime and the next. CAMAGU.